Chapter 4. Imagine Christianity is actually the religious buffet. Of course, Christianity would have to be viral in the structure of this delusion. Using religions to control the mindless minds of these holograms would have to remain persistent in order to control my conscience as source. The Bible story was set in place to make me adhere to a belief system. I was meant to blindly inhabit this existence as an empty vessel just for my conscience to be filled up with lies. This is how a delusion occurs and how a gigantic world can be shrunk down to its actual size, which is small and minute. Christianity would have to be flexible enough to indoctrinate all backgrounds of minorities. There would have to be a God that has an ambiguous gender and ID. Also, the story would need to be vague and be filled with a lot of symbolism, hidden knowledge. The Holy Wars signified imposing a belief system that would tie together all regions of the world, regionalism. Crusaders, voyagers, and ministers would travel the world to enforce their religious laws that govern religion. Governed, organized religions, such as Christianity, would have to be communistic in order to control people. The age of Aquarius represents eugenics and man, worshiping man, but hating the idea of humanity. Imagine having a God that could be anything and a story that's equivalent to a fairy tale wrapped around a nightmare. The Bible story has been revised, added to, and versions have been altered to manipulate the mindless brains of the AI holograms known as people. I always wondered why the psilocybin mushroom has purple veins along with Barney, representing a purple dinosaur. The word people and purple are similar, and dinosaurs were supposed to be prehistoric. However, dinosaurs were never mentioned in the Bible, and fungi is the oldest form of life. The Bible included a mysterious God that stemmed from a bloodline of Anunnaki giants cohabiting with Adam and Eve, and the word Adam can be reduced down to a dam, meaning a bridge to cross over or subconscious water, power, man. If we take the word Eve and anatomically examine the symbolizing fact that the capital E represents the left side of the brain and the right side of the body, the grown woman Mary, and the lowercase e representing the anatomical structure of the right side of the brain and the left side of the body, symbolizing the computer/brain. And the transitioning of man, which is a transgender female. This insinuated God being a matriarchal figure and alchemically manifesting the patriarch, resembling a human with a feminine brain and a masculine body. A part that stood out to me in the Bible was Genesis chapter 32, verses 22 through 32. This is when Jacob was wrestling with God, initiating the remembrance of a coworker of mine named Jacob. He looked identical to this ventriloquist doll that I had when I was playing with this ventriloquist doll and practicing the art of ventriloquism. I had an ongoing experience of wrestling with an invisible entity of some sort. This all unraveled after I had burned all of my esoteric paraphernalia and my ventriloquist doll that resembled a coworker of mine named Jacob. Catholicism has the body of Christ placed on the cross and partakes in a ritual called Mass. The reasoning for the body of Christ is on a cross is to represent a human sacrifice. Placing a human sacrifice on a cross is merely a magic ritual to attract abundance. Christianity does not place Christ's body on a cross because the crucifixion aspect is too grim. Also, the Christians wanted to separate from the churches in the European Union for this very reason. The Catholics also believe that drinking wine, representing Christ's blood, and eating a medallion circle of bread, representing Christ's body, would have a cleansing effect. My intuition tells me that these hologram figurines wanted to be Christ because Christ represents a source-like figure. Now that I know that I am source, it's no surprise to me that this sandbox delusion wants to exterminate me. To pick these religious beliefs apart makes my stomach turn. It's as if these Catholics are resorting to cannibalism in order to be made clean of their insanity. Christianity would have to be appealing to make it a mainstream belief system. The word Sunday is spelled with a U instead of an O because it came from the south node of my astrological chart. Church would have to be orchestrated on Sunday, meaning Sun's day, from the south nodal axis, which is the past. Also, the word spell means to spell a word, and etymology is a spell using letters, words, or symbols. Wednesday represents the planet Mercury, and Christians have Awanas on Wednesday, which is an extension of church. The number 7 represents a temple in numerology. Christians celebrate church on the 7th day of the week. The planet Mercury is toppled on or near the sun, and Wednesday is the 4th day of the week. The number 4 represents a cross on matter, the sun carrying the planet Mercury on its back or chest is symbolic to the sun, Christ, carrying the cross on his back or chest. Mercury is considered to be technology representing a computer or information. The cross that Christ carries is information of how this world delusion is made possible, which is a heavy burden or a hard pill to swallow. The 7th sign in astrology is Virgo, representing the temple, the sacred prostitute, and Christ's body, mutable earth. The spiritual body is to receive this hogwash to serve as a grounding effect in order to anchor heaven to earth. Hell is considered to be below, however, it's just a metaphor of how earth is actually the underworld. Of course, Christianity would have to have some drama to it. For example, Cain and Abel family drama makes for a tasteful story. This correlation brings up the fact that my mother's brother, Nelson, killed his older brother, Herman. This is just more synchronistic connections that web me to these various buffets of religions. What Christianity does is creates a facade of how men should love one another. The Bible infiltrates the mind with every necessary trial and tribulation, influencing the drama to manifest in the populace of people, making such a negative impact on the mind with the dramas of the Bible stories brings into fruition wars and strife. Christianity never mentions transgender people or intersex because the facts of source are supposed to stay secret. This tactic is to reinforce the weaving together of lies for this Walt Disney nightmare. Christianity is a basic story of heterosexual hell to condition the minds of the masses in order to sustain slavery. It's an imaginary chain that enables the power struggles between genders. Gender is actually ambiguous, stemming from the feminine quality. There are many rules to follow according to Christian folklore. It's impossible to uphold these religious laws. Most believers go to church and participate in the bare minimum. In regards to Christianity, this is exactly why this religious buffet is so easily administered in mainstream society. The religious laws of this belief system are so radical and extreme that it can't be fully taken seriously.